asked for action, and Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton says she's ready to deliver it. Today, Secretary Clinton putting forth a plan aimed at enabling students to attend public colleges without taking on crippling loans for tuition. Her, quote, new college compact plan, as it's called, is likely to cost $350 billion over 10 years. The proposal is aimed at encouraging states to expand their investments in higher education by the government giving states money, which then the states can only spend on instruction, not administration bloat at the public universities or on new buildings. No new rec centers. The cost will be offset by capping tax deductions for the wealthy at 28%. This as student debt has tripled over the past decade, reaching $1.2 trillion. That is the highest form of debt outside mortgages. The question is, will it work? We're joined by Christian Dorsey, director of the Economic Policy Institute and Democratic strategist, and Rich Lowry, a Fox News contributor and editor of the National Review. Let me start with that simple question, Christian. Can this work?
It actually can work. This is a pretty sensible proposal that does a lot of things pretty well, even though it doesn't achieve the grandiose objectives of Bernie Sanders, for example, in making college completely free for students. This is a moderate middle ground approach that does something that's critically important. And Liz, you mentioned it, actually putting pressure on colleges not to simply pass on higher costs to students, but actually doing the work in order to rein in spending so that we're actually delivering quality education and not some of the excesses that colleges have pursued over the last 20 years.
Rich, can it work?
I'm doubtful. Look, I think this is an extremely important issue, and I think every candidate out there should have their plan on how to deal with it.
Well, they better, because it's going to explode in everybody's faces at some point.
Right. It's an enormous issue, for middle-class families thinking about how they're going to afford this for their kids. But I'm skeptical of anything that really just pumps more money basically into the current system. I think the current system needs to be more radically rethought. Why does it take 4 years to get a degree rather than 3? Are there other ways we can credential people in our society besides just a 4-year degree? Are there ways technology can make higher education more productive? Because higher education has run against the grain. It's become more expensive in recent decades. At the same time, it's delivering less if you look at the surveys of what students are actually doing.
And I have to tell you, when you look, Christian, at the rate of inflation versus the rate of tuition climbing,
sure,
tuition climbs exponentially more. It's ridiculous. And I know why. Because they know people will take out loans to pay for it. And I'm just wondering if Rich isn't right, but a more radical solution is to stop giving out student loans. I know it's very unpopular, but you'd start to see tuition drop pretty quickly when people couldn't pay for those high tuitions.
Well, see, I think the Clinton plan is genius in that it does actually put pressure on colleges to control spending. And if they want to recoup, or if they want to make the kind of margins that they were making before, it'll drive that kind of innovation that Rich was talking about. Instead of having 4 years for students to pursue a traditional degree, we will see from this approach models of innovation that maybe allow certain disciplines to be finished in 3, maybe in fact 2. Maybe you see the expansion of non-residential learning so that technology can become more of a factor. That's only going to happen if we change the dynamic of colleges just being able to pass it along to students because they know they have to. They know the earnings differential for that degree makes it so that they have to, by any means necessary, pursue this route. Once we change those incentives, we maybe get some innovation at the same time we're helping students.
Rich?
Well, I agree that innovation is the key. Just the usual experience, though, is the more we pump into the system, the more the schools just hike tuitions.
Okay, but Hillary's plan, let me just say this. Hillary's plan says you will not be able to spend the money that's being pumped in. This is what drives me nuts about public institutions and all colleges, administrative bloat. It's like 2 administrators per 1 student. That's ridiculous. Or, we need a brand new rec center. Sometimes they do, but this, at least her plan, as I understand it, would say you can't use that money for that purpose.
Right. Well, that's all to the good, because you're right. Schools pour so much money into that because college has become an experience where nice facilities and nice gyms are so important when really what you need is a building, some books, high expectations, and high standards, and great teachers. Pay for the teachers.
Okay. Pay for good teachers. Right, Christian?
Absolutely. And, one of the reasons why we've seen college costs go so out of control and towards some of that bloat is because they're all trying to compete with each other for the best students. Well, what's going to be the best way to be competitive if a student can choose to attend their in-state university at an affordable rate with either free tuition or such low-cost tuition that they can pay as they go? This is going to make these colleges very competitive, and hopefully we will stop seeing this race to excess that currently exists.
We will also wait and see what the other candidates have to say. I know that Scott Walker had suggested tuition freezes in the state of Wisconsin. I don't think price controls usually work, but we shall see what. And you've got Jeb Bush already dumping on Hillary's plan, so I'm sure others will come up with their plans. One quick question for both of you. We've started to look at Carly Fiorina. She said yesterday on Fox News Sunday with Chris Wallace that her campaign has seen a large bump. Neil Cavuto was just talking in the 1 p.m. hour about how everyone's doing more searches, but she's seen a bump in donations, campaign donations. Rich, is she the one to watch right now on the Republican side?
One of the most amazing disconnects of this race on the Republican side, you talk to the average Republican, they will tell you how impressed they've been with Carly Fiorina. If you've seen her at any event, she always excels. So it might be that Thursday 5 p.m. debate finally closes that disconnect and she begins to get the support in the polls and the fundraising that equals the buzz that's been out there.
Well, it's a long way to the campaign, I'm sure, right, Christian? So we thank both of you very much for coming. Go ahead. Quickly.
I was just going to say, this is to take nothing away from Carly Fiorina, but, at one point in the last cycle, Herman Cain was the flavor of the month. There's a whole lot to go between now and nomination time, and she certainly is very impressive in many regards, but I suspect that her day in the limelight will fade as others rise up, and she may come back again.
You will be absolutely correct on both sides that people who were early front runners ended up fumbling on certain occasions. We shall see. Christian Dorsey, a director at the Economic Policy Institute and a Democratic strategist, and Rich Lowry, Fox News contributor and editor of the National Review. See you guys next time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.